Oh my god. Here we are. Once again, it is Inside the PFL. Season 8, Week 8. I am your former champion, El Zubador. Joe. Joined as I am more recently by special correspondent Mike.
That's me, guys. I'm Mike, if you didn't know. That guy's me.
That's you, Mike. Mike, it's Week 8. Inside the PFL is live. M1 is in the chat saying not to say anything because he has to go get dinner. Well, fuck you, M1. We're going. We're starting right now. What did you think of Week 8, Mike?
Oh my god, Joe. It's a roller coaster of emotions, really. It's just a lot of RNG just fucking everyone this week. Do we all need to have a group sacrifice to RNG this?
To make sure
Is that what needs to happen?
To make sure that terrible things don't happen.
Dude.
Well, we'll end up getting to it, but there's not only just RNG, there's a lot of, I'd say, weirdness around the week in general in terms of results, how things play out. We'll start with here, starting off, first battle of the week was Garrison versus Murphy, which actually, all things considered, was a fairly normal battle, even though the very first thing that happened, we've talked a lot about Murphy loves leading with that electrode turn 1, and then it eats a Draco from Scarfladias.
It eats it. It lives.
Amazingly, it lives, too. I know that...
It lives, guys.
110 special attack is still pretty good. I don't know if he had everything in HP and defense or something, but amazingly, Electrode lives and hits a T-Wave, and I was going to say then Latias is a non-factor, but I don't think it even shows up for the rest of the battle.
Then essentially it is a non-factor.
I guess so. I feel like in this battle, Murphy did make a few weird choices, I think.
I agree.
Calm Mind Suicune is great. It works. When it works. There's two Pokemon that cause a problem, however, by the name of Mega Venusaur and Empoleon, which were both readily available a lot of the time Suicune was in during this match.
I would not have brought Suicune, I don't think, in this match if I was Murphy, but that's just me. I
feel like, though... Because after, the Garrison won this match +4, and surprisingly, the two Mons that I mentioned, Mega Venusaur and Empoleon, were the two ones that he lost here, and if not for, you want to talk about weirdness, again, I thought we were over this, Mike. I thought we were over people not knowing what the fuck their rest counter is.
Everybody's messing rest counters up this week. Again.
Honestly, at that point, the Mons that he had left, it was Latias, it was Nidoking, there were Mons that weren't going to give Suicune a ton of trouble, so if Murphy knew to hit rest there...
Probably would have ended different.
This might have been a different story. It wouldn't have been a +4 at the very least.
I see in your notes you answer one of my questions, which is, why did you hit Volt Switch when rocks are out and you have 5% HP?
So yes, Electrode... hitting Volt Switch on Gyarados, of all things. I believe that we saw all 4 of Electrode's moves, which were T-Wave, HP Ice, which he used on Nidoking, Taunt, we did see Taunt, and then Volt Switch. So it was basically he didn't have room for it because he wanted both the T-Wave and the Taunt and the HP Ice. The HP Ice probably could have been dropped for... I believe Murphy had even said that he had I don't know if it was tinkering necessarily, but he put HP Ice on there, which did actually get it. Nidoking switched in on it and then had to leave, so it did what it needed to do, but later on...
I don't know, I feel like with Mon, Electrode's great and all, I just feel like I'd bring Thunderbolt over Volt Switch in that situation. I get fast pivots really great, but at the same time...
Yeah. And Manny, your battle was second last, so we'll be there in 40 minutes. So you don't have to be present for that.
I would like to not be present for that.
So
I love it.
I do think that, yeah, because it was Drac and something else as well, mentioning before of the Mons that Garrison had left, and it would have been tough to get around Suicune, especially if it got maybe like another Calm Mind up. So
I don't know. Trakian hit Swords Dance and then a Z move. It might have deleted Suicune.
But at that point, like, it was all he needed to do was get a good rest talk with like Scald or Ice Beam or whatever he might have had, because he had hit, I think, 2 close combats at that point. Like
what a game.
Either way, don't fuck up your rest counter. That's the big takeaway from this match.
What was the Togekiss build? Am I the only one who remembers that Togekiss gets Aura Sphere? Ever? Like, why? Why you? I mean, I get you're hitting Air Slash on Empoleon for the flinches, but like, you might have got a kill.
I don't know. I feel like that's something that Murphy hasn't brought Aura Sphere as often as he should, possibly, just because there's probably, I mean, like, after Air Slash and Moonblast / Dazzling Gleam, I forget which it gets, and Roost, that 4th move, you never know.
I mean, you can bring Defog. It does have a lot of other good moves, but like, it fights steel moves. It does so well with Aura Sphere. I don't know, man. I guess that it's not my call, I guess, in the end.
Well, either way, a good +4 for Garrison, back in form. I chose Murphy like a dummy because I thought that things were going to be different, and I was wrong.
Now, when Manny's picks are up there, are they the picks that I picked during the broadcast, or Manny's actual picks?
I don't remember what picks you picked during the broadcast, quite frankly.
Okay, I didn't know if you wrote them down or not.
I did not. So, next up, we got Tristan taking on Dave here. This was a fun match just because Tristan didn't actually hit a move until the 4th turn.
Why is Tristan so good with only Trick Room?
He's been using it very well. He didn't even get a... This match was won largely without Trick Room, though.
I don't think he used Trick Room once, actually. He got taunted out of it, and then he had another chance to use it, but he went for the kill like a smart person instead.
Yeah, Dave made a lot of bad decisions in this match, I'll say.
He plays so passive every game, and I get his team is meant to be passive, but like, go! Fucking do something! I feel like I'm just poking his team with a dead stick.
Manny, if you want to get in on this broadcast, you're welcome to come in. Then provide
why don't we get Manny in on this, and we'll do a nice little 3-way action.
Running commentary. You said you wouldn't be available at this time, Manny, you dumbass.
It's because he doesn't ever go on Inside the PFL in the weeks where he loses, only when he wins.
Also true, we don't want to break that streak. Mike, you have Sableye. You have run Calm Mind Sableye, I want to say, like, 3 times this season.
Good.
I don't think it's that good! That's...
Joe, I won a game against Drac solely with Calm Mind Sableye. I also have Prankster, he doesn't.
Yes.
It works with Prankster Recover.
Yes, I think Mega Sableye is a bit of a harder sell for Calm Mind. Because the special attack doesn't go up that much. So...
No. Like, I don't do that for the special attack up. I do that for the defense up, so I sit there and go, please try and kill me.
Right, and I feel like it's a bit of a gimmick at best. I mean, in this match, and I had noted it during the live broadcast on Tuesday, Dave didn't really have a special attacker on his team. He had Azumarill, he had Talonflame, he had Entei, like all of these physical attackers, and then like nothing else there. All right, Manny wants to come in. This is gonna end up disconnecting you from the call really quickly. So, one sec.
Man.
Okay, never mind. You didn't get disconnected.
I'm here. I'm still here. Oh, Manny's here.
Well, Manny's getting called currently. Manny.
Oh, he's here.
Listen, okay, I'm just calling in. I'm in the car right now. I'm calling in for a segment of Manny's Road Rage right here. Offensive Sableye is not good! Listen to me! Just run Prankster Willow, max defense Sableye, and just poop on physical threats. It's all you gotta do!
But then you set up Calm Mind to poop on both threats. You tell my record that defensive Sableye is bad.
I have no comment on this matter. I have not ever drafted Sableye, so we have
Hold on, though. All right. Getting back to the match that happened, crits happened everywhere. And by that I mean 2 Crabhammer crits, one that might have literal won Tristan the game. He hits Crabhammer on Azumarill. Crits and gets it range.
That did a lot. Those Crabhammers. Crabhammer is a move that has increased critical hit ratio, I think, right?
I honestly don't know. Give me a second here. I can just look it up. I mean, the internet's a thing. That's true. If I remember right, looking at the mons that Tristan had left, if he got that belly drum off, that game might have ended 100% different. I
agree. There were a lot of things that were in a rough... Like, I think only Crawdaunt was the mon that didn't want... Or that did want those Aqua Jets, I think, at that point. Everything else would have been neutral or worse, and, again, could have been singing a different tune. Not to mention... Dave, I believe, traditionally has put a 50% berry on Azumarill, and this time he decides to go Citrus, which eat that Crabhammer crit, and you're at 30% health and you can't belly drum.
Or Z belly drum.
Well, he had Talonflame for a Z move.
And Talonflame did work. Even though it lost Gale Wings to U-turn, it still got some kills.
Talonflame put in it was a good threat in this match. Tristan had to play around it, and I do agree though that it's dumb that he that he switches in on a U-turn and loses Gale Wings.
Also looking it up, Crabhammer 100 power, 90 accuracy, but crits happen more easy. So yes, Tristan played the RNG game.
Okay, and adaptability, don't forget. So that's even boosting that. Crawdaunt, a little underrated. I think Tristan's the only person to have taken it. I know I said this before where I thought nobody drafted it, and then I think Tristan proved me wrong. So either way, it hasn't really been used very much on his Trick Room team, but came through clutch in this match for certain.
Does it come down to Tristan's really good at Trick Room, or are we all just really bad at fighting Tristan with Trick Room?
Well, we'll talk a little bit later, very later, when we get to Dan and Kyle about, how you properly play around a regenerator core, which
Dan didn't do.
Which he did not do, no, but we'll cross that bridge.
He did not do.
We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Tristan now, we'll talk as well when we look at the standings. Big week for Tristan, and not a big week for Manny, which, again, we'll get there. Next up, we had... M1 getting the +5 over Gage, our second ever timeout loss by Gage.
Which would have been a win.
Weird to think that both times now, because when this happened to Dave earlier in the season, he hits belly drum on Azumarill, and then, timer. Shell smash.
If he had acrobatics and EQ, I'm pretty sure M1 was fucked, if I remember right.
Yeah,
that's all he needed.
Gage had said during the broadcast after bringing him on that he lost because he didn't know what acrobatics was going to do to Mantine if he was going to try it, because special defensive Mantine, even a power gem at +2 might not have killed it, so he wanted to see what acrobatics was going to do, and then oops all berries, it's fucking over.
Oops all berries, it's all over. Ugh. Watch your timers, people. Like, I remember running calcs in my match against Mitch, and I got scared, and I had 270 seconds left. Have this shit brought up. Know a little... I don't know. Stop sitting there going, oh, I'm going to switch. Oh, I'm not going to switch. Oh, I'm going to switch. Just do something.
When it comes down to it, when there's 10 seconds left on the clock, you can't be looking up calcs. You got to go for it.
You got to be moving. Hitting buttons.
It's fine, yeah, that's the thing. I'd start to get worried when you're at maybe 2 minutes left, 120 seconds or so. That's when I'd stop doing calcs, maybe.
Even if you move, like, the way the way Showdown works is if, like, you go down to 10 seconds and then you do 4 turns in a row quickly, you get your time back.
Yeah, you get back to, like, 45 seconds. like it starts building back up. So if you just act very quickly, yeah. And M1 professing that he's never done a calc during his matches because he's a Chad.
Hey man, different strokes.
I mean, I'm glad that I know that it's not a desirable result. M1 himself said that he was not like fulfilled, not satisfied after even a +5 win, a big win. It doesn't feel earned when it's by timeout. But, and this is again something we talked about during the live broadcast on Tuesday, if you can fucking see the future if you could do the calcs to do literally everything. We don't need the battles taking an hour.
That's the fourth move. Acrobatics, EQ, and Stone Edge.
I think he went. I don't know if he gets Stone
Shell
Edge.
Smash. What was his fourth move?
Power Gem, probably.
Okay, good enough.
I'm just saying. Again, Mantine, Power Gem is a special attack. Mantine, big special defense. I don't know what his spread was. Probably that's why he was trying to look at acrobatics. I'm assuming.
Yeah, alright.
Anyway, there's other stuff we got to talk about in this battle. Another fun thing. Celebi won a speed tie with Salamence. We saw a speed tie in this battle.
I liked watching Muck kill itself. That was fun.
Yeah, the Iron Barb's Rocky Helm, all it needed was 2 whole hits on Ferrothorn for it to do well over 50% damage to Muck. It reminds me of the lovely time when I did that against... It must have been a Ferrothorn or a Druddigan or something. Garchomp it was. When I used Gear Grind on a Garchomp with Rocky Helmet.
It's my Garchomp. I was literally just going to talk about this.
and
I love that moment.
And I wanted to die because my poor Kling Klang got fucking murdered.
I love defensive Rocky Helm rough skin Garchomp. Hilarious.
And one also told me that Staraptor had specs by mistake in this match.
That's no mistake. That's almost as good as me putting Hypercutter on Gliscor earlier.
These things happen, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not perfect. I fuck up all the time.
And yeah, I think just the takeaway from the battle that I have at least was Minior could have gone off, but this is why we have the timer.
This is why we have the timer.
Next up, we got a surprising result, I'd say. Jack getting a big +4 over Drac. There's a lot of weird circumstances in this match. You want to talk about, again, weirdness. We haven't gotten to the RNG quite yet. I think that starts with your match, but... So
no, RNG was from the very beginning, just not as big.
I talked to Drac a lot, and basically Drac really enjoys trying to find solutions for a perceived turn 1. And in his mind, it probably worked out exactly as it needed to, because here you are, turn 1, Lando T, against a Golem, a Pokemon that is 4 times weak to Earthquake. Problem being, in this circumstance at least, you assume, oh, I'm gonna die, I better leave. When instead, what Drac presumably perceived was, oh, this thing that's 4 times weak to EQ is in front of me, let me hit EQ real quick. So, turn 1, you get Lando hitting... I believe Lando was scarfed, by the way, Jack's Lando. Hits rocks. You see the failed counter from a Golem, and then the plan is ruined, because now Jack...
You blew your load way too early.
I think Thomas tried doing this with... I forget if it was Mega Aggron or somebody, just something with, like, I need a way around blank, and the solution was getting hit and using Metal Burst. But it's so situational that it didn't happen in his match. And, like, even though all the pieces are in place there, it, like, revealing that and Jack not taking the bait, as it were, and playing really, like, how what he should have done there, like, oh, he's going to switch, let me just hit rocks, because, I don't lose anything from that.
He did what I would have done that too. I would have looked at a Golem and went, ha, I'm immune to your stab. Leave.
And surprisingly, this is not the last time we're going to talk about counter in this match.
Oh my god, literally my notes for this match in capital letters, counter.
Some other things that happened in this match. Sleep powder showing its effectiveness once again.
Much sleep. Everybody's sleeping.
Everybody's sleeping. I don't think a sleep powder has been missed so far this season. As Tangrowth,
RNG, man.
Which sleep powder is not an option that, I mean, I never had Tangrowth, but like I feel like sleep powder is not an option that you normally see on a Tangrowth, which was...
I think I ran it like once or twice when I had Tangrowth.
But it came in handy because it made Crest go to sleep, and eventually Nihilego as well. And when it came down to it, Drac really didn't have anything to deal with Tangrowth other than Qrem, and it was the first Mon that he ended up losing.
Well, also, if you think about it in the sense where both of those Mons he put to sleep would have deleted Tangrowth.
Yes, that too. That's where it gets to be. That's why, again, Sleep Powder very effective. Crest maybe not deleted it, I wouldn't think, with that fucking 75 special attack.
It would have at least scared it out. It would have taken damage.
Nihilego, though, yeah, that shit is... You don't want to...
You give a Beast Boost, and this game ends different.
Yeah, Sludge Wave, and especially since it had the Sleep Powder, it wasn't AV Tangrowth, so that means that, yeah, Sludge Wave would have myrtleized it.
Just gone.
And the big ending, because Mega Gallade was kind of hanging out in the back, of course. Mega Gallade, always got to be careful of it. And it comes in, it hits Shadow Sneak on, I think, Amok or something, to get rid of something. I think it was Amok.
It like, just quick gets rid of something, clean switch into Alakazam, protect, Zam lives, the rest of Drac's team dies.
Yeah.
Not only does Mega Gallade go down with counter, every other one of his mons is just deleted.
I wanna just, like, you gotta think, Mike. Counter seems like a very, lack of a better term, counterintuitive move to put on Alakazam. Alakazam's...
I'm not playing counter on Alakazam ever. I messaged you after I watched it and I went, did I just watch Alakazam hit counter?
Because you saw a non-stab Shadow Sneak from Mega Gallade did 85% damage to Alakazam.
Just deleted it. Oh my god, I don't understand.
Drac would have
absolutely... I'm so happy it happened in the way it did, and that's some of the MLG type shit you have to do, but that could have also just blown up right in his face.
Drac had absolutely no reason. I mean, like, I understand you want to hit Shadow Sneak there, because that's the super effective move. Like, full special, like, the specialty on Mega Gallade's good. Like, even a Shadow Ball from Alakazam probably wouldn't have killed it. If he went with any other move, if he went with knockoff there or something, Alakazam's dead. Never gets a chance to counter, unless it may have been sashed. So I may be wrong.
That's what I'm thinking, because if you put counter on a Mon for that, you best fucking sash it.
Especially when Alakazam does get Magic Guard, which is very helpful for sash users.
It is. Yes, it is.
So I may be wrong in thinking that that Drac should have hit another move there, but yeah, his fate was sealed either way, I believe.
But what a play, Jack! I'm so happy it happened because it gave me the chance to take the division after I just last week.
After you, well, let's talk about you taking the division here, because finally you overcome you run up that hill right to the top of the division, getting a +2 over Mitch in a match that, when rewatching it, Mitch very easily could have won the match, I think.
Oh my god, I remember playing the game live and going, it's turn 19 4 times.
So
Pokemon. If I didn't get
not only that, we start with you can probably explain this better than I, because I think this might be a Dale thing. Where does turn 1 Zap Cannon come from?
I guess I've heard it as a meme before, but it's just not something that I can recall. Like, I would expect it in Thomas's meme match, you know what I mean? Kind of like with Dale's Prank Wave. I know Mitch likes to do meme type things, so I think that's just where... And if he hit with Zap Cannon, oh my god. That game was... Oh my god. I never saw it coming. I was special defense, so I might have lived, but like, oof.
So...
If I didn't get paralyzed, I probably could have won that 6-0 with just Sableye. He had nothing to stop it.
Yeah, right off the bat, you toiled over what your Sableye build wanted to be, especially because you were like, how am I going to one-on-one Registeel with this thing? It's going to Toxic me, and I'm going to have to get out. And then eventually you were like, wait a minute, what if I just put the Flame Orb on it?
Yeah, but there's a lot more to this, though. Mitch, before we battle, is like, yeah, I'm too lazy to make a team. I'm going to use the same team. Because since I beat him the first time, I was like, I'm going to use the exact same team in our rematch.
You had said that...
Stabilize a little bit.
Yeah, you had said that the team that you built for the first encounter with Mitch was basically preparing for all of the mons that he didn't end up bringing.
Yes, and then I still won by magic.
So logic would dictate, why not just bring the same team then?
Exactly. And I knew he was lying when he said he's going to bring his whole team. They're the same team. But at the same time, I was like, little does he know, I'm doing that.
And what ended up happening was he brought all 5 mons that he didn't bring the first time, right?
He brought some of the mons stayed the same, but their kits were different. Zapdos didn't have the same moves. Registeel wasn't the curse build or the rest build. Like, literally, the thing that made this a +2 instead of a +4 or 5 was me getting paralyzed so much. And I mean, good on Mitch. He played RNG the game, but like, honestly, so much para hack.
Like watching that though, even though like he didn't really get para hacks, like the paralyzes on Sableye weren't really in spots that benefited Mitch at all. I
would have killed some more mons though,
right,
that were in front of me.
You're right. That's the thing, is like it would have possibly like sped up his demise, but all that he needed was for you to get paralyzed once when Volcanion was out.
Yeah, I was lucky there. But he also could have switched. Mario's watching it live. He had gotten home from the bar at this point, a little drunk, and he's like, why is he just leaving Volcanion in to eat toxic damage? And I looked at Mario and I went, well, I scared him with a water absorb already. Water move. And also, he hit with, 3 Fire Blasts?
He did miss 1, which also didn't help, but...
But 1. He hit with more than that.
Yes, well, it's 85%, Mike. I know that you hate Fire Blast because of that 85%, but, like, more often than not, like, you will miss once in a while, and he did, but, like, you make it seem like it's a miracle. Like,
might just be because I'm so scarred from Focus Miss, and the accuracies are different, but...
They are different by 15%. That's the other thing. I can understand not using Focus Miss, but, you know... Fire Blast is debatable, you know, depending on, again, it depends on the damage that it does. If Flamethrower works, it works. It's 100%. If you can get a little bit more, and like an Oko on something with Fire Blast, roll Fire Blast.
Also got the lucky crit on Aggron, because I probably would have lived and then deleted him with Earthquake.
Also true, yes. So,
a lot of RNG this week and in my match.
Weird RNG in that match, and it's not even... the weirdest RNG match, which I would say is next here. James taking down the undefeated Manny, +2 in a match that was 86 turns long, 3 turns shy.
And I told you I'm not rewatching.
A match that was 2 turns shy of, or 3 turns shy of being the longest match in league history, which Manny also holds the distinction of. Lucky him, that motherfucker. What it boils down to, Manny could not get around Starmie in this match.
No, he couldn't. I remember that.
Basically, anything that he had for Starmie was either gone or just not there, I guess, or like what he thought would be good for, because James brought a bulky Starmie, and this is something to where I always thought that Starmie was, you know, kind of papery, but it can take a hit, I'd say.
And it's fast enough to use the recover, and I think James did it expecting to be able to use it to get around Solar Beam Venusaur, which Manus did not bring.
Yeah, Manus not bringing the Weather Core, which also could have certainly helped in this match. I want to start, though, first thing is the first, 4 or 5 turns of this match were just terrible for James. You start turn 1, Dragonite and something, I don't quite remember. Dragonite hits Agility. Agility instead of D-Dance because you want to get ahead of Scolipede. Like, if you have the chance now, automatically, even if Scolipede's in turn 1, you are now definitely faster than Scolipede. And from then on, it was basically just... It was, you know, Special Dragonite... A Scolipede does come in, it eats a flamethrower, immediately gets down to 1%, has to leave. He switches in Hippowdon so he can do damage with sand. It gets toxic thanks to Starmie, and just basically James has to let 3 or 4 of his Pokemon take a lot of punishment before Dragonite is gone, like Manny's first Pokemon.
Yeah. Which Manny has been doing work with the recently moved down.
That was last season, I think.
Recent enough.
Nobody picked Dragonite when we moved it down the first time. That I'm not going to put that one on Manny. However, of course, Venusaur and Keldeo I will put on Manny.
Well, okay, Venusaur, in my opinion, isn't that great of a mon. I'm so happy Manus is doing work with it. And I've been arguing that Keldeo should drop down too, so I can't...
Alright. Venusaur, it's the same thing with... We moved Stoutland to 100, and you use Stoutland for one purpose. Why would you use Kabutops for one purpose? Why would you use Venusaur for anything different than to be a Chlorophyll Sweep?
And honestly, I think Intimidate Assault Vest Stoutland is hilarious before you go throwing that under the bus.
I'm not... Look, that's the thing. I like other sets on Stoutland. I'm just saying, you can run normal sets on Kabutops, I'm sure. It's just... It's one of those things where if you want to justify the price... Like, nobody drafted Stoutland at 100 yet. Assault Vest Intimidate is fine for 60 points, maybe not for 100.
Yeah, unless you're in Timroar.
So, the big thing that happened in this match, though, Audino was something that, quite frankly, James couldn't get around. He didn't really have a great answer for it. So,
think about that sentence again, by the way.
Mega Audino, once again, 40 points. Don't sleep on that. Manny has now drafted Mega Audino, or at least had Mega Audino on 2 separate teams. So, I still just don't like that it does...
Mega Audino is Manus' new spirit animal.
Rabambi comes in on Mega Audino, and gets very crucial... Like, Moonblast, I believe, is 30% on a special attack drop, and he gets 2.
I think you're right.
He gets 2 on Mega Audino, which allows it that Rabambi stays healthy enough that, like, because it had Flamethrower, Audino did.
Sweet chip damage.
Yeah. And suddenly the Flamethrowers were doing, like, 12% damage. So that was one thing. Rabambi crucial to the late game, but the big thing was, and the bulk of this match even, was Starmie versus Audino, and the very first Psychic, I believe, that James hit on Mega Audino got the special defense down. The special D down, which set the tone for the next 40 turns. Like...
God. Manus, I think, also got a little fucked by Ditto in this match.
Manny, it's weird because Manny even said to me after the match, I thought at the time Ditto was my win con. When you knew all of Starmie's moves, because it was, Scald, Psychic, Toxic, Recover, I think.
Yeah.
And you switch in Ditto, no matter what, you're taking a Rapid Spin rather than Toxic. No matter what, you're taking a resisted hit or a Rapid Spin.
Yeah.
So... switch Ditto in on Starmie, take a hit, switch Mega Audino back in, suddenly you don't have that special defense drop, and now you're the one dragging the match into the mud to force Starmie to end up using Struggle. So, I think that should have been his play, and it could have saved us, like, fucking 40 turns.
I am glad that it went that long. I am a big I wanted to quit so many times. Live, I've bitched about it, but never quit. Never think you've lost. Rob has lost at least 2 games against me, and just multiple games by he quits 5 turns before the game's over when you can still win. And if
it's not still winning, you can at least because M1 did this last season against Manny. You can M1 got +6 like very early on because they didn't have answers for, I think it was like Registeel, Incineroar, and Chestnut, and he just kind of started just hitting moves just all over the place and like giving up, and never give up, never surrender,
never quit, man. Just keep going.
Just keep going. So and the last thing I wrote about this battle was, despite the fact that it was 86 turns, I was fucking on the edge of my seat for all of them.
Yeah, you know what, even watching it I was like, oh my god, this is amazing, but I don't want to watch that match again.
No, watching Manny versus Dan, the match that was 89 turns, I wanted to die through it because it was just a lot of delaying the inevitable when, like, you just knew that Audino versus Starmie, whichever one gave first was going to lose that game.
I think I might just draft Dan's whole team Dave's whole team next season and just play slightly faster. Good at making people want to cry.
That might be all you need.
Play faster.
All right, so I talked about surprising results. You want to talk about a fucking surprising result?
This is not surprising.
On this podcast last week, I said to you, Mike, you can corroborate. I said the internet can corroborate. It is recorded for everybody to hear. I said, I don't know when Rob's going to win, and I was wrong.
I agree. I didn't think Rob was going to get a win either. But Rob versus Thomas is literally two piles of shit beating each other with a stick.
Look, everything Thomas had 3 fucking wins in a row against quality opponents, and the last encounter between them...
First win was not a quality opponent, being Rob.
Whatever. The first encounter that they had, even though there were... Alright, again, fair point that there were points in that match where Rob did things where he could have won the match against Thomas the first time. But either way, this comes down to, again, a lot of the stories this week was, here's one Pokemon that either they lost their answer for early or there just was not a way to solve, and in this match it seemed like that was Mandibuzz.
I agree. I love Mandibuzz. I've thought about drafting that thing probably every season.
A lot.
And then just never did.
A lot. Yeah, no, you go with something, a different defensive type instead, or you're like, ooh, no, I'd rather have this flying type or this dark type. So, Mandibuzz, I think, very underrated as a defensive option, because it can eat anything physical. Just, like, brush it off like it's fucking nothing. It doesn't take damage from... I think Overcoat means it doesn't take damage from Sandstorm. You can't, like, Sleep Powder it or anything. Like, it's a good mon in general. And
it's a huge mon. It can do so many things. You're not even really afraid of the fact that you're weak to electric because it's huge. You put the Rocky helmet on it, Pokemon are going to die before they kill you.
No, and we saw in this match, Porygon 2, who doesn't have small special attack, was doing like 53% with a T-Bolt.
Yeah, like, it... So bad, Thomas. So bad.
Not only that, but Rob put on enough speed onto Mandibuzz, or it might be naturally faster than P2. I don't remember, but still, being able to just hit Roost and then suddenly not be weak to Thunderbolt anymore was huge in the match.
Yes, I agree.
One thing, Thomas talked to me on Tuesday about a great set that he was going to bring of physical Blastoise. And in retrospect, we didn't really get to see it do too much. He probably would have been better served just bringing a special attacking Blastoise with Ice Beam if he wanted to get around Mandibuzz.
Okay, I didn't know that physical Blastoise was a thing.
I mean, when he was telling me about it, it sounded good in theory, because its normal attack is either 5 or 10 lower than its special attack, which still might be just like, 90 versus 100 or something like that, but either way, it's close, and because it's a Gen 1 mon, it gets a bunch of stupid stuff. We saw, it gets the elemental punches and things like that. We saw an Ice Punch in the match, but it was...
No, what he should have brought? Roaring Rocks.
Roaring Rocks, that also works. Getting things out of there. Getting things out of your face is very... it's very helpful.
I don't want to deal with this now. I'll solve it later.
Other than that, the only other note that I really have is Mega Lopunny also proved to be a very good pickup for Rob in the long run here, helping him in this match. One-on-oneing Feeney somehow.
It worked. I mean, those returns, they're weird calcs, but I don't think Feeney was at full HP, so fuck it. Slam return in its face.
No, that's all you needed to do. And also shout out to, of course, Scarf Moxie Pinsir getting rid of Torn with a Stone Edge. I believe a called Stone Edge. Or he might have just been in.
I love Rob's Pinsir in both matches against Thomas. Good.
All right.
Well, at least I don't think we've ever had a season where someone went winless.
No, we have not.
Ever.
Everybody's had at least one win now. Both Rob and Thomas were last season, and now Rob can again join. I think around the same time too, where it was either week 8 or 9.
And no, Rob was almost winless all season last year. You're right.
Yeah, he got a win off of Mario somehow. Oh no, I shouldn't say somehow. It was because of Rock had head smash Aggron.
Oh, whoever, that's in my notes somewhere how much I love head smash. Oh, Jack versus Drac. I saw Aggron come in and I went, oh, I love head smash.
Yes, it did like 70% damage to Cresselia.
Just
Finally, we have here Kyle over Dan +5. There were many things to be suspect about in Dan's play in this match. He did bring Politoed and Kingdra. However, Kingdra can't really be effective when Politoed dies turn 1 when you stay in on Coco.
I don't understand why Dan just... Did Dan... I asked this question almost every... Oh, Mario's here, by the way.
Mario's here.
I asked this question at least once a week. Kyle winning or Dan losing?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely... I want to say it was Kyle winning, because Kyle made all the plays that he needed to. It was Dan... So maybe it was Dan losing, because he didn't... Really, it becomes, when we need to ask the question, how often is it actually the person winning rather than the loser losing because of their play?
Oh, it's always a case of the person who lost just playing like a Tyler out there.
Also, Torn got rocked by Coco. I mean, Torn was asleep at the time, I think, so maybe Dan was just like, fuck it, I don't need him anymore.
That's what I'm thinking happened.
But alright, so Spore. Amoongus and Spore. Deadly. However, can be made a little less, not as much of a problem if you let your sleeping Pokemon be basically like the last Pokemon that you use, because then
you don't let the Pokemon wake up. You kind of fight 5-on-6 to kind of cripple the sleeping. I understand what you're saying, yeah.
Because Torn, Jirachi, and Heliolisk all got put to sleep in this match, and Heliolisk wasn't in very long. It hit maybe like 3 or 4 Hyper Voices, but it was it did enough damage to Amoongus that it had to scare it out, and then Slowbro comes in, and then it did enough damage to Slowbro that Dugtrio had to come in, and Dugtrio thankfully was sashed. So also another thing, Hazards would have been helpful there. Either way.
I never question Kyle's plays, okay? No more mistakes.
No. I wasn't questioning the play at all. I'm just saying, I'm saying to Dan that Hazards would, we saw Sash, we've seen Sash a lot in the league so far, so Hazards are important, and maybe you didn't get a chance to get them up, whatever. Especially when people seem to have dedicated Sash Pokemon. Like, I think we've seen Jack with Alakazam use Sash a lot. We've seen Sash on James's Scolipede a lot. We've seen it now on Kyle's Dugtrio a few times. Like, if you know that they have a we've seen Frostlass with Garrison a lot. If you know that it's gonna...
If you don't expect Frostlass to have a Sash, you're retarded.
Mike, that's a very strong word, please.
You're Tyler. But at the same time, it's a smart play because everybody just, like, I know I do. I'm like, how can I get this thing out of my way in one turn? Another turn, you're just like, oh, shit.
I want to say as well, actually, going back to the early match here, for some reason, so obviously the rain is set up with Politoed, it dies. Kingdra comes in to do some damage. It's basically a crapshoot as to if it's physical or special Kingdra. Slowbro comes in, it eats a Flash Cannon. Obviously, it's special Kingdra. Flash Cannon gets the special D down on Slowbro. We saw that he probably didn't have Draco, that it was Dragon Pulse instead. Like, even with the special defense drop there, and like...
Stab and non-resisted.
Slowbro hit Toxic there, so if you just hit Dragon Pulse, it would have done... Like, I looked at the calc, because I was, like, Draco Meteor would have killed, but Dragon Pulse did, 85% damage. It would have been in a really rough spot, and a lot of, especially when, again, we talk about you need to prepare for the Regen Core. I know that neither of them are weak to rocks, but having rocks kind of discourages a lot of switching.
Yes, it does, because you're just taking that chip damage, man.
So... I don't know. Like, a lot of suspect plays. Like I said, Jirachi felt like it went with Ice Punch on Amoonguss when Iron Head is neutral. You could have gotten the flinches rather than falling asleep. But
I like the Ice Punch play, though, because now you're playing Serene Grace on the freeze chance and the flinch chance.
Does it freeze and flinch, Ice Punch?
I know one of the other punches... Or no, you know what? Sorry, I'm thinking of the bites. The bites give you the flinch chance.
Ice Fang, yeah, I think.
That's my fault.
No, that's... Because I was going to... I mean, like, at that point, hitting... it's very appealing to hit a super effective move, but when it's non-stab, sometimes it's not worth it.
I agree, and I've learned that lesson the hard way, and it's been embroidered back into my skull. Mike, maybe stab will be better than super effective.
So, so Kyle gets a +5 over Dan. The only thing that ended up dying in the match, I don't even think was Doug Trio. I don't remember. Something died. So Doug Trio was sitting back there.
You got a +5, who cares?
A +5. So that's the other... Like, I was so ready. Because this match happened so late in the game, I was just like, well, we'll disqualify Kyle this week, and wow, three of the four divisions are going to have a new leader this week, and then Kyle comes in and fucking big dick +5s the same week that M1 +5s, and it's like, oh, well, nope, here we are.
M1 should be counting his lucky stars right now that he got a timeout.
All right, so let's take a look, because this was the last week for trades and pickups, and as such...
I should have done some of those.
There's usually some changes that are made, so... Let's go ahead and take a look. I guess we're starting with Murphy here. Murphy made 2 changes that I think were, we had talked about a little bit, he and I, the changes that were being made. He found that Breloom was his previous Z captain. He has dropped that for Lucario because it's something that he feels a little more comfortable with. It is a mon that
he loves Lucario. He's had it before.
Has used before. And that Breloom, despite its potential... It's not the easiest mon to use, I don't think.
You have to put it in a winning situation. It's not going to give you a winning situation.
Yes, I agree. And even with something like Spore, and it's got that 4 times weakness to flying, which is never good, and it was just a little too rough for him. Couldn't quite, shape the team around it. So goes with Lucario, dropping Breloom for that. And since he had 40 extra points, since it was kind of redundant, given that he also has Gastrodon, Suicune is gone, and he picks up T-Tar.
I love T-Tar. So good.
I'm a big... You know me, I'm a big fan of T-Tar. I love me some T-Tar. I like that, it'll help...
Classic example of the regular Pokemon being, in my opinion, better than its Mega.
Better than... I think it's really only T-Tar and Garchomp we do that with, right?
No, I'll take Sableye in our division over Mega Sableye every day.
True. It's also 100 points cheaper.
Not even for the points, just I think that Prankster, in actual play, being able to pick when you want a Mega Sableye is great. In our league, it pigeonholes you.
Yes, I agree. Which is also the reason that nobody has ever taken Mega Sharpedo.
Same thing with Garchomp, too. Mega Garchomp is great. If you don't need the speed that regular Garchomp has and you get rid of all the fast threats and then Mega, people are screwed.
But yeah, when you're forced into it, that drop from, 102 to 92 is just too much.
It's huge. Garchomp's so great because of that 102 speed.
It was uber in its generation because of that.
It's still great. I still think every season, I had Garchomp 3 seasons in a row, and I still go, I want to get Garchomp again.
Next, we had Dave making a small change. I got this on Wednesday last week because Dave missed the deadline for the previous week. But dropping Quaggy, I guess it's kind of redundant with Rotom Wash. They don't necessarily fill the same role. Rotom Wash has been good on Dave's team as a Scarf Mon to do a lot of damage with those Hydro Pumps. But he's picked up Porygon Z now.
I think it's a good trade. As I've been saying, he needs to be faster. And I remember looking at it with you, and Dave is almost statistically eliminated, so I think he needs to win out or something.
It might even be too far at this point. We'll have to take a look at that. But
yeah.
Porygon it's what, 80 speed. It's not amazingly fast, but it's
big enough where it's gonna hit something.
And he needs a special attacker, like we were saying. He used fucking Sableye as a special attacker when he's got Meowstick, Rotom, and Sceptile, and that was it.
And as I learned last season, oh my god, Choice Specs Hyper Beam. Fucking Manus.
Choice Specs Adaptability Hyper Beam.
Yeah, I can't believe he hit it.
Next, no, that's Murphy again. There we go, Manny. Manny made just one change. Even though he just got Jolteon,
he just picked up Jolteon,
getting rid of it for Alolan Marowak.
Which, what's he doing? I mean,
you gotta think it's something to where it'll be good in the sun. I think what he's trying to do here, correct me if I'm wrong, he's trying to do a reverse sunroom situation where
yes, he is.
The room is being set up,
and I'm pretty sure Torkoal might get Trick Room.
That I don't know. That might be. You could.
Remember I had Torkoal. Sunroom is just too much to put out at once, but I do remember that Alolan Marowak Under the Sun going first with Rockhead Flare Blitzes deleted everything in front of it.
Does not get Trick Room. Just checked. But either way. Okay. I think he has something going to learn, and I'm sure that Audino probably has Trick Room. I'm gonna speak for Manny now, and I feel like he'll appreciate this. His Alolan Marowak trade was because we're in the end game now. This is definitely I need to prepare for potential playoff opponents pick.
Yeah, we're in the end game now. Manus is trying to get ready to fight Thanos. All right.
So that was the only one there. M1 made the most changes here.
He did. Well, M1 and Drac. Drac has a lot too.
Well, Drac made most of his stuff last week, I think. Oh no, he actually does too. Never mind. They're both the same. They both did 3 and a trade. So
because of the trade, yeah.
Yeah. So M1 got Alolan Golem, which he then dropped, giving Drac Stunfisk. Alolan Golem was dropped for Zebstrika, which I feel like Manny dropping Zebstrika earlier in the season was a surprise, because I do think that it's useful, just not like Electrode fills a very specific niche of being really fast and being able to hit taunt, where Zebstrika is decently fast and has a high enough special attack stat that you can threaten something with like a secret overheat or something,
Not even that. All 3 of its abilities give it an immunity and a buff in that immunity with its Lightning Rod, Sap Sipper, and
Motor Drive. Motor Drive.
Motor Drive, okay.
So not only that, as you see, there is a Pokemon on this team with a 4 times electric weakness.
Yes, there is.
So Zebstrika could very well come in on anything directed at Mantine, so be careful for that. In the same vein, we've talked about he had Chandelure as kind of a backup for Ferrothorn because of the fact that both of it's immune to both of the things that Ferrothorn is weak to, i.e. fire and electric because of Flash Fire.
Your other fire type is 4 times weak to fire, or to ground rather. And yeah, this is a very fair trade getting rid of Chandelure here. I like it.
It was a bit redundant with Salazzle on the team, and with Salazzle as the Z captain, you're not going to get fucking Z captain or co-captain. You're not going to get Donphan for co-captain, which I think was basically just picked up just so he doesn't have to rely on Ferrothorn as much, I'm guessing.
And it also gives him another switch in from something trying to hit Mantine.
Also true, yes. So he's got also then, in general, like Sylveon and Mantine, good special defensive options. Ferrothorn and Donphan, good physically defensive options. So
yes, and the rest of his team isn't that small.
No. And the final thing that he did was got rid of Guzzlord, kind of semi-redundant with Tyrantrum, which he has done much more work with this season to pick up,
so good.
I believe, a Mon that has never been drafted so far, Crabominable.
I remember when Sun and Moon came out, and I got this thing, and I was like, man, I love it! And then I looked up its base stats, and I went, fuck, that's slow.
It is, I believe, like base 30, so speed.
It's 4 times weak to flying?
No, ice and fighting.
Oh, ice fighting. Sorry, I thought it was grass fighting.
No, I don't think ice fighting has a 4 times weakness, but he's got a lot of 2 times weaknesses.
I also don't think it's very big, but I mean, it's a tier 5 for a tier 5, so fuck it. Maybe you can pull some fun trick with it.
Like, you can put 252 into HP on most Pokemon and slap an AV on it, and it'll take a hit or two. So,
and it gets that physical ice move.
Ice Hammer, which makes you even slower. It has the Hammer Arm effect, I believe.
Hey man, is he going up against Tristan or some shit? I don't know.
He could. That is a potential playoff opponent for him. So
again, we could be moving into the end game here with the straights.
is that everybody's watching out for Tristan now because of this crazy Trick Room team?
I'm not, because the only way I fight him is in the finals.
And next, and nope, not fine. No, it is finally. Okay, so finally the last changes that were made were to Drac's team. He did get Stunfisk in the trade from M1 that he kept. I think this might have also been a playoff move. I don't know. I forget. I know we talked about it, but either way. Also, dropping Dusk Noir for Licky Licky, amazingly.
Like it.
I know you were hyped for a little while about Eviolite Lickitung, which never went anywhere, so I don't know what Licky Licky can really do, but I'm excited to see.
Who knows? I like a lot of the trades that Drac did, especially because I didn't want to have to prep for Cresselia again. And I mean, I want to have to prep for Mew and Savali. But I fucking hate trying to get rid of Cresselia.
Yeah, Cresselia's gone now for Savali, which Thomas previously had, and started winning once he got rid of it. And because he already has QREM and 20 extra points from a thing earlier in the season, and dropping 20 going from Dusk Noir to Licky Licky, he was able to turn Zygarde 50 into Mew. So,
I mean, the Double Dragon was scary, but, and again, all just me, I'm taking Zygarde 50 over Kyurem all day.
No, I think that most people would, but again, it's one of those situations where, I mean, maybe he does have, like, Mega Gallade, Araquanid's physical, Durant's physical, Swellow can be physical. Maybe it's one of those things where it's like...
You know what a good feeling is, Joe? Hitting whatever mon is in front of you with stab 1,000 arrows.
Yes, that is true. So everybody thank Drac because he saved everyone the issue of having to possibly face Zygarde.
Yes. We'll see, though. Maybe it'll work out for him and he'll win all because of this. Who knows?
Yeah, when I made my changes at the deadline last season, I was...
It took you far.
It took me to the finals, yeah. So, and if we didn't institute the new finals rule, I would have been champion, but that's neither here nor there.
Except some salt.
So, let's go ahead, take a look at the standings here, because the standings are... This is where things are starting to get important. People have been mathematically eliminated at this point.
Yep.
Rob's win was simply... This is like what you might call a spite win, possibly, where it does nothing but fuck over Thomas's playoff chances.
Yeah, Thomas has to win out and Garrison has to lose out now, whereas Thomas beating Rob would have given Thomas a chance at playoffs. But I like watching yellow teams suck, because that means 3 people from my team could possibly get in.
That's the other thing. Everything's really close. Like, it's... I'd say... No, I actually wouldn't say it's safe, because... You at 5-2 and Garrison at 5-2. A lot can happen. Everybody can. I don't know if it actually will necessarily work out that everybody might end up 5-4, but
it could.
Because let's see, you already faced Mitch. He's already at 4 losses. Mitch would have to. I don't
Mitch still has to fight Jack, and I want to say a conference cup.
Who is Mitch playing this week? Because that would...
Does he fight Drac? You guys have names that rhyme, so I can never keep it straight.
Mitch is playing... Where the fuck is Mitch? Where's his name on here? Oh, Mitch
I hope it's not Drac.
No, Mitch is playing Gage. Gage and Drac are the last 2 that he has, so...
Damn it! That means I have to win this week. Son of a bitch.
So... Yeah, it could end up, because even then, everybody except for Rob technically has a shot at getting in, because, well, Jack has Manny, so we don't know how that's going to go, but probably, no offense to Jack, Manny.
Murphy and Thomas both can't make it because they face
You're
each
right,
other.
They do. They face each other week 10, so we could very well see a playoff spot there.
And me and Jack also happens week 10.
Yeah, so that's the thing. Those are two matches that could potentially, after what happens this week, be for playoff spots. Because
a lot of things could still change. Sitting at 5-2, I'm not comfortable. I'm scared. I have to win one more game out of these two.
Even Mitch versus Drac. Now, 5-4, most seasons could be enough. In some circumstances, Mario went 5-4 last season and missed the playoffs. So
Dan win with 4 wins.
Well, that was Dan got in last season at 4-5 because everybody was terrible on the other side of the bracket apparently. Looking at the other side here, the Coliseum side, Manny and Tristan both at 6-1. They're basically guaranteed playoff spots. I think I don't think there's even considering they can finish 6-3 at worst. That's still good enough to get in because the highest James can do is 5-4. So James needs to hope that M1 loses out if he wants a playoff berth, and James needs to win out.
James winning out, very plausible.
Yes.
M1 losing out, much lower chances.
M1's last matches are against Thomas and Dan, who are, that's the thing. That could be technically a match for a playoff spot this week, M1 versus Thomas, because whoever loses is basically folded. They can't really, not folded necessarily. M1, it depends on James.
Do Dan and Dave fight?
Let's see, because the last Dave is playing Rob this week, and then last is Dan and Dave have already faced off their second time.
I don't see both Dan and Dave winning out at all.
Well, even then, the best they can do is 4-5. So
So M1 wins one more game, he pretty much guarantees his playoff spot if James loses one more game. And even with M1's plus 15, that gives him a nice lead over James if they end up tying in record.
Yeah, James is going to have to pull a fucking rabbit out of his hat with his last two matches if he needs to, if he can get into playoffs. And with his last two matches being against, with Tristan this week, it'll be the ultimate test, I think.
The way it looks right now is the Stadium Coliseum side is all but locked.
Yeah, with that fourth spot.
Snap Troze side is the exact opposite.
Pretty much. Yeah, because Tristan and Manny definitely going to make it to playoffs. Kyle, I don't want to say it's impossible for him not to make playoffs, but at 5-2 plus 18 and last two matches.
I don't think anybody can catch him.
Kyle versus Garrison. Garrison's pretty much sweeten his spot. He could, take it easy this week possibly and let Kyle get a guarantee. I mean,
actually,
it could even
if Garrison loses, that helps me.
Yes. So I don't know. There's a lot of. This is a very. Not only is this the fucking final week of the Conference Cup, which let's even bring that up really quick here. This could be. This is an important.
This may be the actual most important week.
I don't want to get into the most important week of the season shit because that's supposed to be at the end. But still, let's look at the Conference Cup thing here that happened this week. Because two pretty big wins. Coliseum getting +3 from their win, and Stadium getting +5 from theirs. Coliseum and Snap have only 2 matches in the final Conference Cup week. Stadium and Troze, we could very well see, depending on how badly Coliseum and Snap beat up on each other in their matches, Stadium can come from behind. Troze...
I'm sorry, do Coliseum and Snap play each other?
Yes.
Wow. So if Snap... pretty much what happens is if Snap wins over Coliseum, they win the thing.
Providing Stadium doesn't beat up on Troze.
They need to get 2 +6s, pretty much.
No, they're at +11... So basically we're looking at 19 as the magic number. So they need to get 8, which from 4 matches, all of their matches need to be won by +2 to reach 18. And that's only +2. There could be 1 +5 in there, and then suddenly things look a lot easier. Depending on how Coliseum versus Snap goes.
And I know Thomas is one of those matches, so...
I mean, Thomas is in one of those matches. Let's go ahead and take a look at that now, and then we can do the commish picks as well here, which I think since Manny was driving, he probably didn't put in his commish picks.
I agree with that.
I won't hold it against him, but let's go ahead and take a look here. So First off, it is James taking on Tristan. Again, a very important match for James here. I think I said the first time that they faced off, James knows Trick Room. He always has these things where he pulls fucking crazy shit out of his sleeves. I think, even though Tristan's only loss has been to Manny so far, I gotta go with James on this one.
I can't ever not pick James. I've watched him battle too many times.
Mario picked James as well on this one. The other non-conference cup match is your match, Mike. Yourself taking on Drac. The first time that you two faced off, Drac couldn't really get around Sableye because he put a little too much stock into Comfey getting rid of it, so I think he's learned his lesson on that, and no offense to you, Mike, I'm taking Drac.
I'm picking Drac, too. I won that match by living on low rolls, Joe. And he also changed his team up since the last time we met. If I'm going to win this match, which I don't think I will, because I don't perform well under pressure, and I have to win one of these last 2 games, I'm picking Drac to win this by about a 3.
Well, Mario has faith in you. He has picked you for this.
Wow.
So, the Conference Cup matches. We have, first off, Dan taking on Murphy. Definitely this has been a down season for Dan, and Murphy has a playoff. Well, yeah, at this point, but Murphy has a playoff spot on the line still, even at 3 and 4. So I would say that I'm taking Murphy +2 on this one. He's gonna not beat up on him, but he has more on the line than Dan does.
I think Dan is not Dan. I'm sorry, I keep getting Dan and Dave confused. I'm gonna take Murphy.
All right, very good. Mario has taken Murphy +3 on this one. Next, we've got Dave taking on Rob. I doubted Rob before, but I still think this is going to end up being a season of 1 and 8 for him. So I'm taking Dave +3.
I want to pick Rob just because I don't think Dave plays fast enough.
And things could get out of hand if he does bring Moxie Pencer again.
It will delete both of the threats.
It will cause a lot of problems. So Mario has Rob +2 on that one, and I wouldn't be surprised if Rob takes it, quite honestly. But
I wouldn't either. Dave plays really slow, but I lost all faith in Rob.
Cross that bridge when we come to it. Next, we've got Manny taking on Jack. This one, now Jack did get the big win this week, but this is basically our most tenured player versus our least tenured player, and every time this has happened, again, the last time something like this happened, M1 got +6 by...
and then we could also remember that Mitch beat Manis.
Oh, that's true, he did, but Mitch had been in the league like a season and a half at that point.
But it's still Mitch. Jack has played better than Mitch by himself, whereas Mitch has helped.
Very true. Either way, I'm taking Manny +4 on this one.
Oh, I need Manny to win.
And Mario has Manny +3. Next, we've got Kyle taking on Garrison. A very important match for both. Just for like a potential. This could be a potential finals matchup, even.
It's more important for Garrison than it is for Kyle.
I'm taking Garrison +1 on this one. It's going to be a close battle, I think.
Oh, Kyle.
And
Kyle,
can't choose against Kyle. Mario chose Kyle +5, so he has the utmost.
Oh God, Kyle! Kyle puts you. You might think you're winning against Kyle, and then he goes, "Oh, it's just what I wanted you to think."
And then we've got M1 taking on Thomas here. I had said during the broadcast, no, not during the I said at some point that I believed that Thomas had the edge over M1, but after Thomas's performance against Rob, I think that has changed, so I'm taking M1 +2.
I'm taking M1 +6.
Just to dunk on Thomas?
He's so bad!
Mario has a little faith in Thomas. He has chosen Thomas +2.
Mario picked both his family members. He might be dying.
And the final match of the week, a match with, I shouldn't say no stakes, because Mitch is still definitely in the running somehow. Gage versus Mitch, I think this is finally the match where Gage fucking catches a break. He's in a very tough division.
Yeah, this is... If Gage loses, it's because he just took too much of a break.
So I'm taking Gage +2 on this one.
I don't think Mitch is going to win another game. I'm taking Gage +4.
And Mario has taken Mitch +2 on this one. So
I might have to change my answer because that means that Mario's actually going to help him.
Fucking Puppet Master Mario in the shadows.
Really, though.
So that is the week ahead here. Murphy will be doing our 700 Club match. We're probably going to be doing the broadcast on Tuesday just because it seems like everybody except Mike is available on Tuesday. And going into week 9, we talked about it a little bit here. Got a little bit in there. This is the last week of the Conference Cup. This is potential playoff spots on the line. A win here, win and you're in. Win and you're in. For
a lot of people in this week all they need to do is win this week, and next week they can take off.
That's what it boils down to. So, Mike, I gotta ask you, as we go into week 9, could week 9 be the most important week of the season?
Easily the most important week of the season. If I win this week, I'm in playoffs, baby. I'm there.
You're there. All you got you're at the door, Mike. You gotta fucking open the door. That's all you gotta do.
Open the door. I have to kick the fucking door down.
But Drac is standing in your way, so what are you gonna do?
Kick him in the damn face. Won't be like when he beat me in the Monotype Madness.
Oh man, yeah. Do you still have scars from that? Just him bug beating Steel, the fucking biggest delay?
My biggest scar was me not putting Hidden Power Rock and me putting Hidden Power something else.
Well, these are the things you learn for the next potential Monotype Madness.
Or just learn in general.
Or just learn. That's also true. So, Mike, thank you very much for joining us this week. You should always broadcast from your computer because it sounds way better than your phone.
Noted.
And for that, then, we will close the book on week 8, turn the page, as it were. We're turning pages on closed books onto week 9. And as we go to week 9, for Inside the PFL, I am Joe.
I'm Mike.
And everybody out there with your battles, it's important. It's, might be a bit of pressure, but make sure you have fun.
Just enjoy yourselves.
Yeah.